very good morning to you and welcome to the news at 10, reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. I am Chimobi Walter Naja and here are the headlines. INEC set to conduct 15 by-elections in 11 states on Saturday, December 5th. Federal government recommits to investments in the most vulnerable in Nigeria. Senate endorses procurement and administration of COVID-19 vaccines in Nigeria. Plus, Information Minister warns against politicizing national security. Many thanks for being with us on the news. Now, all is now set for the conduct of 15 pending by-elections in 11 states in Nigeria on Saturday, 5th December 2020. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says the outstanding by-elections will take place in Bayelsa Central Senatorial District, Bayelsa West Senatorial District, Nganzai State Constituency, Borno State, Bayo State Constituency, Borno State, Cross River North Senatorial District, and Obudu State Constituency, Cross River State. Others are Imo North Senatorial District, Lagos East Senatorial District, Kosofe 11 State Constituency, Lagos State, Plateau South Senatorial District, Bakura State Constituency, Zamfara State, and of course, Ibaji State Constituency in Kogi State. And we have joining us to talk more on the pending by-elections holding tomorrow is the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye. Welcome to the news at 10.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Now, you have 15 elections coming on in 11 states tomorrow. It's a big day for INEC, you must say. How ready are you for this exercise?
Well, we are ready for this election, and we have been ready all this while. 2 weeks before this period, all the non-sensitive materials required for the conduct of the 15 by-elections had been delivered to the various states and to the local and back to the local governments. All the sensitive materials were delivered to the central bank in all the states on time. And as of Thursday, our officials, the political parties, civil society groups, and organizations were at the central bank in the various states to inspect these materials. So these materials left the various state headquarters to the various local governments yesterday. As of this morning, all the materials have been brought to the registration area level, and by 12 noon, they will begin to move to the various super racks from where the ad hoc staff will deploy to the various polling units at the first light tomorrow morning. So we are ready for this election.
All right, so can you give us an update on the situation in Bayelsa State, especially with regards to the APC's participation in election there? We are quite aware of the peculiarity of APC's participation in that state.
Well, the information I have today is that the Court of Appeal has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission to restore the logo on the grounds that if eventually their matter succeeds and they are not on the ballot, that irreparable damage will have been done to them. So the commission is a law-abiding institution, and we have restored the logo of the APC on the ballot. Eventually, and at the end of the day, it is the court that will make the final determination on whether any political party has validly nominated candidates or not. So we have complied with the court order, and the APC will be on the ballot for tomorrow's election.
That's quite illuminating. That tells us that you're very ready for most of the elections. But then another question begs to mind: and how is INEC applying lessons learned in elections held early this year in the conduct of Saturday 5th election? Oh, unfortunately, we seem to have lost connection. We've been speaking with the commissioner and the chairman. Okay, he's back now. All right, so can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right, so how is INEC applying lessons learned in elections held early this year, in the conduct of the Saturday, December 5th elections?
Well, what we have emphasized, both to our resident electoral commissioners and to our ad hoc staff, is that we have set a bar and we can go lower, we cannot go lower. We can only surpass the benchmark we have set for ourselves. So based on this, in places like Lagos, where we have 2 elections, we have deployed 3 resident electoral commissioners as support resident electoral commissioners. And then in places like Bayelsa, we have 2 resident electoral commissioners for each of the senatorial zones, and then there is the national commissioner supervising. And then for Cross River North, I'm supervising Cross River North, and then we have 2 resident electoral commissioners also supporting. So we have deployed our best hands and our best materials for this election, and we are confident that we are going to do well in this election. What is important is that the will of the people should prevail in terms of who gets elected and who does not get elected. So we are going to follow our processes and procedures through and be free, fair, and transparent in all our dealings in relation to this.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Festus Okoye. You have 15 elections coming from 11 states. We do wish you well and believe that the outcome of those elections will really translate to what the people want. Many thanks for being with us on the news.
Thank you.
All right, and moving on now, President Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed the commitment of his administration towards pursuing more diligently critical investments in people, especially the youths, most vulnerable and poorest members of the society. Consequently, the creative and innovative recommendations by participants of the Senior Executive Course 42 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies will be studied and explored for implementation as soon as possible. Now, this was at the 2020 presidential parley with the participants at the State House, from where correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The National Institute, Nigeria's Center for Reflection, Research and Dialogue, is undoubtedly the nation's apex think tank on policy and strategy. For the year 2020, population growth and human capital development challenges and opportunities was the focus of participants of the Senior Executive Course 42. President Muhammadu Buhari, who received the report of the research findings, described as pleasing the recommendations and implementation strategies. Many of such recommendations, he promised, would be considered to further enhance human capital development in the country.
I am personally delighted to observe that the National Institute is meeting its mandate as the nation's apex think tank. I congratulate you for your patriotic efforts. The contribution of the National Institute to human capital development at the strategic level over the years is worthy of commendation. Government will continue to support the Institute not only in the discharge of its mandate, but also in its avowed determination to become one of the top 3 think tanks in Africa before the year 2025.
And as a testimonial to his administration's commitment to human capital development, various programs, he said, have been put in place to equip Nigerians, particularly the youth, with requisite skills for employment, entrepreneurship, and wealth creation.
We have also recently introduced the 75 billion naira Nigerian Youth Investment Fund, of which 25 billion naira have been provided in 2021 budget. All of these are consistent with our policy of positioning the youth for strategic leadership in different fields of endeavor.
President Buhari, who takes pride in the progress made towards achieving food security in Nigeria, said tremendous efforts at reducing heavy dependence on the oil sector have also been intensified. Priority attention, he also said, will continue to be accorded to mining, entertainment, manufacturing, ICT, and labor-intensive industries towards generating millions of jobs for the teeming youth and able-bodied Nigerians. The Director General of the National Institute, Professor Habu Galadima, had expressed the conviction that many of the challenges facing Nigeria that are related to rapid population growth will be surmounted under President Buhari's watch by investments in human capital development.
We thank you for the enormous investments in the people of this country through highly commendable programs designed to take many Nigerians out of poverty. One can only imagine the magnitude of the outcomes if these investments were not made. We are grateful to God for providing this country with a strategic and purposeful leadership at this point of the nation's history.
The National Institute, Professor Galadima explained, is aware of the expectations of government and will do everything within the limit of its capacity and resources to meet those expectations. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Similarly, President Muhammadu Buhari has renewed his appeal to heads of state and government, especially in West Africa, to at all times respect their people and fully appreciate their support through purposeful and result-oriented leadership. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that the president was speaking when he granted audience to the president of the Gambia, Adama Barrow.
This is the third time the Gambian leader, Adama Barrow, is visiting President Muhammadu Buhari since coming to power in 2017. Nigeria played a key role in ousting former President Yahya Jammeh, who had refused to accept results of election he lost in 2016. For President Muhammadu Buhari, who was in the Gambia at least 2 times, it was the least Nigeria could do in leading an ECOWAS onslaught against the sit-tight president. President Adama Barrow is here to update President Buhari on what his administration has been able to accomplish in the last 4 years. During their closed-door engagement, where discussions were held on areas of mutual interest, President Buhari insists that countries that accepted multi-party democracy must comply with its tenets. As he puts it, the future of our countries lies in our hands. We must respect our people and appreciate their support by doing the right things. And as the Gambia goes to the polls next year, President Buhari pledged Nigeria's support in different ways possible. President Adama Barrow told journalists shortly after that his visit was actually to say thank you to President Buhari and indeed Nigeria once again for their unflinching support to the Gambia.
Because Nigeria have been very, very supportive. Nigeria have been a very good brother. Nigeria have been a big brother supporting us in different areas. Technical assistance, judiciary, education sector, and the economic team in the Gambia. So Nigeria have been very, very, very supportive. So we said, no, if you want to thank a farmer, the best place to thank him is to come to his farm. That's why we are here to thank Mr. President.
With the Gambia recovering from what he called 22 years of dictatorship, his administration, he said, is focused on redressing the injustices of the past, as well as addressing challenges of security, infrastructure deficit, and a parlous economy.
During the 50 years, they were able to do 800 kilometers tar road. In 4 years, I'm doing 600. Bridges, they were able to build 750 meters. I am doing 2,500 meters in 4 years. We are building strong institutions. Freedom of press, independent of the judiciary, independent of the National Assembly. These are institutions that are very, very strong today in the Gambia.
President Adama Barrow said his country still needs Nigeria's stabilizing force going forward. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
All right, this is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We're reaching you on the network service of the NTA. Still ahead. Better days ahead for persons with disability in Nigeria as government reassures of inclusive policies. Glad to have you back on the news. Now, the federal government is leveraging local and international funds to maintain infrastructure and bridge the deficit through robust public-private partnership transactions. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo gave the hint during a webinar on deepening Nigeria's infrastructure stock organized by the Bureau of Public Enterprise in Abuja.
Recent reports released by one of the leading global rating agencies, Moody Investor Services, has revealed that Nigeria needs to spend about $3 trillion in over 30 years to bridge the infrastructural gap being experienced in the country. Speakers at this webinar on deepening Nigeria's infrastructure through PPP agree that Nigeria is significantly behind its other emerging market peers.
To put this in perspective, the federal government would have to spend the entire revised 2020 appropriation of 10.81 trillion naira continuously for the next 108 years or more on capital expenditure alone to meet that target.
A strong commitment of 2.49 trillion naira was appropriated for capital expenditure in the 2020 budget, a scenario the speakers say is commendable, but agree that in an era of lean resources, the traditional method of building infrastructure through budgetary allocation is inadequate, hence other options of private investment, which accounts for 92% of GDP.
We'll be creating a 15 trillion naira infrastructure fund that will help not only to unlock investments from local sources, but also attract foreign private investment in infrastructure development.
The Vice President harped on synergy between agencies involved in PPP practice for the search of investors that can deliver and ensure credibility and safety of investment. Director General Bureau of Public Enterprises Alex Akko assured of collaboration with MDAs and other agencies to determine projects suitable for PPP. Benny Adams, NTA News.
Many thanks, Benny. We now move our attention to the National Assembly, where the Senate endorses the procurement and administration of COVID-19 vaccines in Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the legislators also urged government to make adequate provision of funds for it.
Last plenary of the week, dominated by health issues, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, Senator Ibrahim Olodiegbe, drew the attention of the Senate to possible implications if Nigeria does not procure the COVID-19 vaccine. In concurrence with the prayers of the motion, the Senate urged government to treat the procurement with urgency.
The Senate is worried that the failure to administer vaccines to Nigeria will result in the country not being able to control the COVID-19 infection, and a possible ban on traveling by Nigerians may be instituted by countries around the world.
The idea that has been circulated that this thing has the tendency to change our genetic constitution is wrong. It has no way of intervening with the DNA.
Invite the Federal Ministry of Health, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Federal Ministry of Finance, and any other relevant government agency that is to present to it detailed plan approval. If we are not able to do it in the 2021 appropriation, then we have to prepare for a supplementary appropriation, because this is a matter of life and death.
Deliberations on health issues was sustained with the consideration and passage of the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Bill 2020.
Protect persons with mental health needs and establishment of National Commission for Mental and Substance Abuse Services for the effective management of mental health in Nigeria.
The Federal Medical Center Rigasa Kaduna State Establishment Bill was also passed. The establishment bills of the Federal College of Education Mangunu, Borno State, sponsored by Senator Abubakar Kyari. The Nigeria State University at Jokuta, Kogi State, sponsored by Senator Yakubu Oseni. And the Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Ogun State, sponsored by Senator Solomon Adiola, passed second reading.
Borno North Senatorial District that has existed without a higher institution of learning, whether state or federal government.
Senate has received the 2021 appropriation bill of the Federal Capital Territory from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
To business. The new finance bill proposes increased VAT for defaulters. This and more with Ronami Agrani on Business News.
An increased value-added tax of 10% for VAT defaulters instead of the standard 7.5% was included in the new finance bill. The bill, which seeks to review, repeal, amend and consolidate several tax legislations, including the 2019 Value-Added Tax Act, will block various avenues of tax avoidance and increase revenue for the federal government. The Senate leader Yahaya Abdullahi says that the new value-added tax legislation will not only impact the VAT Act of 2019, but the Capital Gains Act as well. The finance bill passed its second reading on Wednesday and is intended as an auxiliary document to the 2021 appropriation bill if it is approved by the National Assembly. Now let's see how the stock market performed on Thursday, the 3rd of December, 2020. With business news, I'm Ronami Agirani.
And the Nigerian Army University Bill, Borno State, is soon to have a legal backing as the House of Representatives has passed the bill to that effect for second reading. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the bill was forwarded from the Senate for concurrence.
When the bill seeking the establishment of the Nigerian Army University Bill came up for second reading, contributions by House members varied during the debate.
Establishing an institution of this nature will do a lot of good for the people of the northeastern part of this country.
This is not the time for this now. We have Defense Academy, that what degree they do, all military training.
The Army University is one that has supplemented the University of Maiduguri.
Army University is built. It's made up of both civilians and army personnel.
Those in support that the bill be read a second time, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. I'm so glad that the work of debating has worked, and even those who oppose the debate for very good reasons have been persuaded. This is what it's all about. So the ayes have it.
In furtherance of police reforms for efficiency, the House passed a bill to establish National Institute for Police Studies, sponsored by Representative Yusuf Gagdi.
It's one thing to reform the Police Act. It is another thing to have institutions that put together knowledge of our own police to function effectively in such a manner that it will help the Nigerian people.
The bill seeking repeal and reenactment of Treaties Making Procedure Act also passed second reading. Among motions adopted is the need to investigate the murder of a first-class monarch in Ondo State. Meanwhile, Chairman House Committee on Media and Publicity at a briefing commended the positive response of President Buhari to the invitation for an interaction on the state of security in the country.
I commend our President for believing in democracy. That's a true sense, a true display of the elements of being a Democrat.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And government will now continue to pursue an all-inclusive policies, particularly the 5% employment quota for persons living with disabilities, to give hope for this category of Nigerians. On the occasion of the International Day for Disabilities, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, paid tribute to the efforts of many of them who are braving the odds. Kelvin Eunai reports.
For anyone who is physically challenged, life is tough. But setting aside a day to celebrate them gives hope that they are still important members of society. It is such hope Chinwo, Chinwike and others are leaning on to face life challenges.
The challenges we face most of the time is discrimination, both in our family and in peers, in the environment where we work,
Beyond the yearly ritual of marking International Day for Disability, the federal government is taking concrete steps in addressing the plights of these categories of people. That was re-echoed at this event put together by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
There is nothing a physically challenged person cannot do. It depends on the way you develop yourself and, of course, the interest you show in bettering your life condition.
The theme for this year is Not All Disabilities Are Visible. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
Many thanks. And the news at 10 is reaching you on the NTA News 24. More stories, including the extradition of former chairman of the Pension Reform Task Team, Abdul Rashid Maina, to Nigeria from Niamey, Niger Republic.
Social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless. It becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can't beat the rich.